Outdoor Nation. I'm Hershey along with Jeff Rawlinson, both of the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission, and this is your almost weekly video podcast of Nebraska Outdoors. And today, we're going right to the point. We are talking knives that you're going to want to know about for the great outdoors. Jeff, I see you've got your whole collection right here.
Yeah, I've got a few of them here, but the knife for the outdoorsman is different than a knife for any other character in the field out there.
We're special.
Yeah, we are. We are. And the outdoorsman needs a special knife. Now, if you ask me, and I will defend this at my trial to my wife, that you need many special knives. You need a whole slew of special knives, one for every chore out there. But you're going to find there's one or two that you always throw in the pack or in the camper or whatever that always go with you. But I thought we'd go over some different blade types and
Let's do it.
And what they're used for. Now, one of my favorite knives, and the one that's probably gets the least amount of respect amongst people, unless you talk to an outdoorsman and he or she will tell you that's the knife they use more than probably any other, is a good fillet knife. This is not just for filleting fish. This is a great resource at the camp for cutting foods at camp. This is a great resource for birds and boning out meat and filleting out breasts and that kind of thing. A good fillet knife, it's got tang so that the blade is flexible. You want it to be nice and flexible so you can get down up underneath that fillet and get a nice firm seal to the base of the skin under that fillet. But you also want it to be something that is going to be razor sharp and hold a pretty good edge. This old Uncle Henry is one of the older models, and it holds a pretty good edge, and it's easy to sharpen, very flexible, one of my favorites. Now, when it comes to a good field knife, and every outdoors person needs a good field knife, whether it's in their pocket or on their hip. I'm a hip guy. I'm hip, and I like knives that are hippy, and so I go with knives that are going to be carried in a sheath on my hip for most of my hunting chores. And so there's a number of different blade designs. Here's a what we call like a straight point blade, where it's straight across the back. It's got just a smidge of a drop point blade at the front here, a nice curved, easy, fat, thick blade. This is a multi-chore type knife that'll do everything from gutting deer, help with skinning, just about everything you could ask a knife to do. Quartering out, butchering game, small game, birds, whatnot. Also a great knife to have around the campsite, doing all your camp chores as well. This particular one is what I call my butter knife, and you can see it's got this long swept blade, and it's kind of a cross. It's kind of a custom knife. It's a cross between a tantu type blade and a drop point blade, if you will, but it is a great skinning knife.
I see it's almost got a trailing edge.
It really does.
Cutting
It really does, and it's a very sharp knife. This is very hard steel, D2 steel, real hard stuff. Once you get an edge on it, it stays for quite a while. But this is a great all-around camp chore knife. A clip point blade where the back of the blade is clipped off and it's kind of swept to the front. This is an old Schrade knife that's really seen a lot of use. I've done a lot of great things with it over the years. The nice thing about this knife here is that when they clip the back of the blade off or grind the back of that blade off, it gives you a nicer tip or point to it, and so it's a great knife for poking or making holes. It's swept at the front, so it can do those chores on game. If you need to remove the hide or even help bone out meat, it'll do those chores as well. Not perfect for those necessarily because of that sharp point, but that sharp point is a great field knife, especially getting inside birds and whatnot. It can do a great job. And one of my favorites, this is a classic here. This is a knife, a sheath knife with what we call a gut hook on the back. And it's probably a straight point or a little bit of a drop clip blade, but you've got a little gut hook on the back. And these are razor sharp hooks on the back of the blade that allow you to make a little incision in the hide of the deer in the belly, turn that knife, put it inside the under the skin, and just yank it all the way up or all the way down, however your case may be, to zip open the flesh on a big game animal to allow you to get inside there and work and do all the removing of the entrails and so forth. So that can make opening up a carcass pretty simple and easy. Again, this is a pretty stiff blade. This one has, what I like about it, it's a good field knife because it has these grooves on the back, and when your hands get sweaty or more normal, and I don't like to think about that, but you're working on on a carcass, you're going to get blood, juices, whatever on your hands, and that's going to make your knife real slippery. So what the handle's made out of is kind of important. This one's got these ridges cut into it to give you a little more grip, and then these little etchings on the back so that your thumb doesn't slip, or your hand doesn't slip off the knife when you're really working on a deer carcass or an elk carcass and your hands are getting real slippery.
All right, real quick, Jeff. Tell us the main thing you would use each one of these knives for in the great outdoors.
Absolutely. This here, of course, is going to be my big game knife for field dressing.
Okay.
Opening up a critter, getting inside, cutting out what needs to be cut out. It's thick enough and heavy enough to where I can also cut up through the sternum. The blade is not going to break. It's not going to bend on me. And it's got these ridges on it, so it's perfect for that.
Field dressing knife for deer.
Yep. Field dressing knife. This will do a lot of my bird cleaning. This will do a lot of my also caping. Skinning. This is my all-around camp knife. This is the one I'm likely to have on me at any one time. It'll certainly perfect for skinning or fleshing game, taking the hide off a game, but also perfect for sitting around camp and cutting sausage or cutting weenies and whatever you need to.
The all-purpose
cutting steaks into pieces or what have you. The all-purpose knife. This one here is just an all-purpose field knife. It'll do everything from your game cleaning to general camp chores and what. And of course my fillet knife. Filleting fish is what this was designed for, with this tangy blade that likes to be bend and be very flexible. But I also use this for when I really want to bone out meat, for example, whether it's even big game or it's on a big bird, for example, pheasant or even small quail. That blade gets right up against the keel and just fleshes that breast meat right off the keel, leaving no meat on the bone, because you can flex this knife right up against the bone and still do your cutting or your slicing.
Perfect. So we've got knives for all occasions, anything you do outdoors, and as Jeff mentioned, the more knives you have, the happier your time's going to be outdoors. It really is, and you gotta have a lucky knife.
Gotta have a lucky knife.
Gotta always have a lucky knife. For more information, check out our website, outdoornebraska.org. Don't forget to challenge yourself and your friends at Nebraska Outdoor U, which is at outdooru.org. Join us every Thursday night where you can stream our live radio show, Nebraska Outdoors, on KFORnow.com. And always join us next week as we talk more Nebraska Outdoors.